Okay.
Okay, so
Um,
I'm excited.
yes,
Okay, I see the light behind you.
yes. We have a light and
Yeah,
heat mat.
yeah.
So here they are. Let me
Wait, I
bring,
see plants, but it's kind of washed
yeah,
out. Let me in there.
I'm gonna bring the plants closer to us. But no, they've been great. And again, I was gone all last week and my fiance was watering them and turning the lights on. So this is our lettuce and these are tomatoes.
Oh my gosh, that's so exciting.
Yeah, they're really, really cute. It's been very fun.
Oh
And I
my,
watered them on Monday. So
perfect. We got a project to do. You ready to do a project with those guys? It looks like they're not getting quite enough light. So because they're stretching up. So you might want to bring the light down closer to them.
closer.
How many hours a day do you have it on for?
I have it on for around 12. Sometimes it's a little bit less, sometimes it's a little bit more. I will say, however, it took a minute for the heat mat to come. So that also might be a reason why.
They don't get tall and skinny for lack of temperature. The tall and skinny is almost exclusively light-based or being crowded. So we're gonna do two things with what you've got today. We're gonna thin out those lettuces so that you just have one in each pocket so they're not feeling crowded anymore.
Okay,
And then we're gonna transplant the tomatoes.
this is
You
exciting.
ready for this?
I think so.
If you can, get them up to 14 hours a day.
That's doable.
Yeah, maybe even on a timer, like one of those switching on and off timers.
Yeah.
Or just like as soon as you get up in the morning and right before bed. Remind me again what other pots you have.
So I have two of the rectangles.
Okay. And so I think what we should probably do is transplant some of your lettuces into one and some of your tomatoes into one. And then
Cool.
put the rest of them back into the 60s so that everybody's got more space.
Okay.
So you need, I think, just one rectangle pot.
Okay.
And then you're probably gonna need another like 15 dirt pellets, maybe 20.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so this is gonna be kind of messy. Is it okay if your counter gets all dirty and then you wipe it up
Totally
later?
messy and fine. Yeah.
Okay, great. So I would start by doing probably 15 dirt pellets.
Okay.
And then if you want the exact right amount of water so you don't end up with extra, it's actually 1 tablespoon per pellet. So that's just shy of 1 cup of water. Yeah, so I'd do
So
like maybe
15
start with
dirt
three-quarters
pellets.
of a cup and see how it goes.
Okay. So this
Yeah.
is about 3/4 of a cup with 15 dirt pellets.
The expanding, oh, it's so
Oh,
exciting.
they're expanding.
There they go.
That's awesome. Whoa.
So now
Okay.
just squish them up. You shouldn't have any dry clumps. And if you do, maybe add
No.
more water. No dry clumps, it's all just nice and smooth.
Yep.
Great. I think start by putting a layer, maybe like an inch-ish deep
Okay.
along the bottom of your rectangle pot. So we're going to start with the tomatoes, and I think let's do 4 tomatoes in that pot. Sometimes this works and sometimes it doesn't. It's a little bit of a high risk strategy, but it's how I do it. If you gently hold 2 tomatoes at the base of their stems, like all of the ones that are in one pocket together, and see if they just pop right out as like a little plug.
So two.
Yep. If you get any
I'm here.
resistance, don't do it. Oh yeah, there they are. Perfect. So
Okay.
that's okay. You're
But they're
good.
still
Just set them
together.
down on the counter. And then tease them apart. Or you can also just grab, is it only 2 or is it 3? I can't see.
This is two.
Okay, so just grab them gently and separate them. There you
Separated.
go. And now you can lay them down in your rectangle.
Like just laid down.
Just kind of next to each other. Yeah. So we're going to make a grid of 4 of them
Okay.
in half of the pot.
Cool. Okay. I'll do the same thing.
Yeah, do the same thing for another 2. Well, there they are.
Awesome.
Good. And then gently tease them apart. If you can keep the dirt connected, better, but if you can't, that's okay. Okay, so
Okay.
those 4, that grid of 4 should take up half of the pot. We're gonna put lettuce on the other half.
Let me.
So they should be like, I don't know, 2 inches between them or so.
Yep.
Okay, so now this is the part that's gonna be hard to describe. So you've got them laying down like this, right? So
Yep.
you're gonna wanna lift them up so they're pointing upright and pretend that to
Yep.
the top of my fingers where the leaves start. you're gonna want to bury them to like here. Most of the stem is buried, that the leaves are just barely peeking up over the top. So you may have to dig down in the dirt a little to get the roots in. Kind of, usually the way I do it is I kind of work from one end to the other, sort of supporting them and then building up a little dirt and then supporting them. And then you just need to be careful to handle them really gently, because if you crush the stems at this point, that'll kill them.
So I have them both standing up, and then I'll kind of like just put more dirt around them.
Exactly, and then bury them like all the way up to their, and just kind of leave the other side of the pot alone for now. We'll come back and deal with that with the lettuce.
And they should be standing straight up, right?
It should be standing straight up and buried almost to the base of the leaves. Because one of the fun things about tomatoes is that they'll grow more roots out of their stem. So the
Cool.
deeper they grow, the stronger their root system is going to get. And we're going to transplant them again in a couple weeks as they outgrow these into bigger pots. And we'll do the same thing and bury them again. And usually at the next time we transplant, you even bury like the bottom couple sets of leaves. So that you just have like most of the stem underground, just a couple leaves peeking up. And then you do it again when you transplant them out to the dirt.
Okay, let me know if you think these are good height, or should they be buried a little bit more?
I might put even a little bit more dirt, especially because around the edges, it looks like it sort of tapers off, like they're kind of on a little mountain. Perfect.
So they're just poking.
Yeah, that's great. Those are going to be so happy. They're going to explode.
Yay.
You're gonna be like, whoa.
Cool.
Okay, so here's a little schematic I drew for you. So you have your tomatoes. You've got 4 of them. And then the lettuces are going to be over there by the cork. So make a grid that would be 9, but you're going to have to take one out for that little corner that's cut off for the cork.
Okay, so technically there should be 8.
Yeah, and so what I usually do with lettuces, because they're so much littler, is I'll just fill the dirt all the way to the top and then go around with your finger and poke holes in that shape so that you've got those little holes to put your lettuces in. Because you're going to find when you tease them apart, they're way smaller.
So 8. So I'm going to poke little holes.
So with this, again, you kind of grab the whole bunch and hopefully they'll pop out. And if they don't, use a knife to scoop them like a cake. Oh, there they are. Look at that. So this time you may have to kind of set them down on your counter to get them to sort of tease apart gently.
Okay.
Sometimes it helps too to divide the whole clump in half and then half again, instead of trying to tease just one out.
I think I was able to separate. So we're going to go one by one for these guys.
Yeah.
And same for the tomatoes. They should be just a little bit poking out at the top.
Yeah, though lettuce doesn't do the same thing. It doesn't really grow. There's no real advantage to it. You just want them to be kind of physically supported. They won't grow roots out of their stems the way tomatoes do. And then if there's any that seem particularly like spindly or tall, I would just not plant them. There's a certain amount of ruthlessness that has to happen at this phase.
Okay, so I have 5 in there right now.
Oh, those are looking great. Yeah, I just keep doing the same pattern.
I think that is just like the coolest thing for some reason.
Doesn't it just feel so satisfying?
So there is 6, 7, 8 in there.
Great, that's going to be good spacing. And then those tomatoes have a little bit more space, which is what they need. And then you might want to put a label on there with your Sharpie.
So I'm going to label. Okay.
Perfect. So now what we need to do is water that in very gently, because if you think about it like in sort of a physical way, you want the particles of dirt to be touching the roots. You don't want those roots just sort of like hanging out in pockets of air. So the best way to do that is you're right there next to your sink. Sometimes if I'm doing it by the sink, I'll do it with like just the tiniest little dribble of water very slowly. Because at this point, if you put water on too hard, you'll like wash them away because they're so little and delicate. You can also hit them with that spray nozzle on your hose outside, the gentle little spray. You can hit them with a really gentle watering can. You can poke holes in a water bottle with a pin. But I would say if you can get your sink, because you're standing next to it, to do like a tiny, gentle dribble.
And it should be kind of all over.
Yeah, well, kind of make sure each plant gets a little bit of a watering on it.
Yeah, and I'm just using like literally droplets of very light water.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great. And then that one, once you fill it with water, that's ready to go under the lights for another probably week to 2 weeks.
More in there. Okay. So this will go under the grow light.
Yep, exactly. There you go. That's nice and close. It's right there on its heat mat. Those guys are going to be happy.
What should I do with that?
So now with the tomatoes, you have 2 empty cells, right? Basically do the same thing you did for separating. So pull one pair out and separate them and put them, replant them into those empty cells. And again, all the way up if you can. Other
Oh,
one.
on the tomatoes.
Yeah.
And put them just into the empty ones.
Put them into the empty ones and then bury the soil all around them. So I
Okay.
wouldn't even put soil in at all to begin with, so that those roots go all the way to the bottom. And then separate them though, put one in each. So that we would
Oh,
have 1 plant per pocket.
put more dirt in them.
Then bury, yeah, exactly, and then bury them all the way up to the top if you can.
So these guys are kind of long. I don't think I can bury them all the way to the top.
Yeah,
Like all
because
the
those
way.
pots just aren't quite as deep, but that'll be okay.
Yeah.
Because once they
Okay.
transplant to bigger pots, you can bury them again.
Okay.
Especially
cool.
now if
So
you've
yeah,
got more light on them. Yeah, that should be
these two have been
Mhm.
transplanted.
great. And
Perfect.
then now you've got 1 empty cell, exactly. That pick that one up, divide it, and put those guys in.
Okay.
So that you've only got 1 in each pocket.
Should I be using like fresh dirt, like new dirt, or does that not really matter?
It doesn't matter that much, but because it's basically the dirt it was already in, but that fresh dirt you just made is good. It's
Okay.
probably a little bit better than the old dirt, just in case there's been some contamination or some of the goodness is gone, but seedlings use so little goodness, at least at this stage, that that's not really an issue.
So yeah, these 4 are
Yep.
now in their own little
And then
square.
the other pockets, do they still have 2 plants in each one?
This one has 1, and then
Okay.
this one has 3.
Oh, okay. With that one that has 3, this is sad. It's where you have to be ruthless, but I would just snip off 2 of them at the
Okay.
base and leave 1. Because
Okay.
think about it this way, at this point, if everything you've got survives, you're gonna have 10 tomato plants.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty wild.
It's a lot.
Okay, so I'm snipping just at the base of like where
And
the dirt and the
choose
seed.
the one to survive that's the shortest
Oh,
and
okay.
ideally has the most space around it, if that's the same thing.
Okay.
There we go.
Sad. Bye bye.
And unfortunately, tomato foliage is poisonous, so you can't just eat it.
Good to know.
Yeah. Okay,
Cool. So now,
those guys are ready to
oh,
go back under the light. You might have to do 2 lights if you're having to kind of spread them out a little.
yeah.
At least for now, the light is more important than the heat
Okay.
because they've already germinated. So germination is the thing that really needs the heat. So you can unplug that one until you get something that splits it.
I should bring the lettuce over there as well, or
Okay,
do we
so we're
want to
gonna
do
do,
something similar?
yeah, we're gonna do a little transplanting on the lettuce too. So again, you've already got 8 lettuces transplanted over there.
Yep.
And lettuce is something, it's not like a tomato plant. You really can have a lot of lettuce plants. So I don't want to thin it too much, but still, if you've got 8 over there plus 6 in here, that's 14 lettuces to put out at once. And then in the next time we start seeds, we'll do another batch of lettuce so that by the time you're done eating those 14, you've got more coming.
Amazing.
So what I would do at this point with your lettuces is, do any of them have 3 sprouts in them?
4. They all kind of have 4.
Oh, okay. Look at that. How cool. So I was thinking what you can do is take it out and split one of those that's 4 and transplant 3 of them back into those, because that'll give you 3 empty cells.
Okay.
And then go through the other ones and snip off all but 1, so that you end up with just
Okay.
1 plant in each pocket.
What qualifies for like the best seedling at this?
The best ones at this point are gonna be the shortest. And if
Okay.
there's a combination of shortest with biggest leaves, that's even better. But what we're trying to avoid is the spindliest ones.
Because they're so entangled.
There we
Trying to
go.
be super gentle. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's one. So should I put more dirt in?
And then that one should be planted back in at more or less the level it was growing at before.
From this square, I put the two best in here. So should I basically just go through these and find the best and then replant them? Okay.
I think so, yeah. Or actually, you can also leave those ones alone if you want. I would just maybe get the third best from the ones that you have
Okay.
sitting on the counter and put it in. And then with the
Perfect.
other ones, just snip off all but the best so that you don't disturb the roots as much. I mean, lettuce is one of the least fussy for being disturbed, but you know, still if you don't have to.
So these three are in. So now I'm gonna snip the best.
And these cuttings you can eat if you want to. Very, very small harvest of microgreens.
So now
There we go. Just one each. Perfect. And then give those guys, the newly transplanted ones, a little tiny bit of water to settle them into.
I'm literally just taking like droplets from.
And
Great.
these guys are good to go for another probably couple of weeks.
Bring it over here.
It's looking good.
Okay.
Yeah, the closer you can get those guys to the light, the better. And then if you see them start to like lean over towards the light, that means that they need to get a little closer. They're not going to need anything from you for probably another week, unless you have to adjust the lights at all.
Okay. So we don't think that I need to touch them for another week. So it's Wednesday.
So next Wednesday, we'll do this again.
Perfect. I'm excited.
Tomatoes and lettuce, here we come.